I'm Ed Spence, and I'm here with the great Ed Diaz from Roland.
Hello, everybody.
I felt that two Eds are better than one, and we wanted to go in a deeper dive on the Roland Juno D, and we're going to kind of focus on religious houses of worship and their needs. I get a lot of calls because I'm a licensed minister, and I deal with a lot of churches, and they ask me a lot of questions and have a lot of concerns. And we just want to show how this Roland D can fit into just about everyone's scenario. And we're going to also deal with regular keyboard players that are giggers that just need a secondary keyboard or a primary keyboard, because this keyboard, I'm telling you, is amazing, and you have to give it a look. So let's get started.
We have the Juno D available in 3 different sizes. We have it in a 61 note and a 76 synth action. And we also have it in an 88 note weighted action, which are going to be great for a lot of our piano and electric piano oriented players.
Right, and this is what we have today. The first video, we brought the 61 note because I was really curious to know how did they address the key size, and I went into great detail to tell you that this is the real truth. Now I'm playing this one, and I love the 88. It feels great. It's the same action as the Phantom O series.
Yes, it's the PHA-4 action, the same action that's in the Phantom 08.
Right, so that's a great action. It's already been tried and true, and I love the action of it. It's firm. So some of the things that people have concerns for the church market are pads.
Pads, okay.
They're doing these worship songs that have pads, and they want to modulate and go into maybe a piano. What I like to do is I like to use a pad and then go into a guitar. Show us how would we incorporate maybe a layer or being able to switch between a few sounds.
Absolutely. So first off, let me start by saying the Juno D has 256 notes of polyphony.
Wow.
So if you're layering sounds up to 7 parts you can layer, you're going to have plenty of polyphony to kind of stretch out there and have some fun. Also, we have the Juno D organized in a scene mode. That means a scene can have up to 8 parts, the 8th being designated for drums. And also we can have our sound modify knobs here that can be assigned and saved to the scene as well. So right now, if we look on this first scene, it's more acoustic pianos. But if I wanted to, I can see the scenes that incorporate the pads that you're looking for. So I can just hit the pads right there and give that one a try.
I like that one. And that's like an intro to beginning of a worship song, beginning of a service. You'd have something really soft. And how would we find some other sounds?
Great. So as I said before, this is a Zencore sound engine, which means the Juno D has over 3,800 tones. 3,800 tones. Now the Zencore sound engine, we just got to cover this because this is very cool. So we have a lot of Zencore compatible synthesizers. The Phantom has a Zencore engine as one of the engines, has multiple engines. The Phantom O has Zencore, the Axe Edge, the RD08, the RD88, so there's a lot of compatibility amongst the Roland keyboards with the Zencore sound engine. So if I wanted to go ahead and choose another tone, I would just cursor here to the actual tones, and I would press the enter button, and now we're going to get a full list of those tones. Now, before you play one, let me tell you this. You can also download more tones from rolandcloud.com. We also have different sound packs that you can purchase, that you can load in, and also you can bring in some expansion packs to some EXZs that in here as well. So what we're listening to today are just some of the 3,800 sounds that are available in the Zencore sound engine inside the Juno D. So go ahead and just give it a spin and let's see what we find.
We're going to go through all 3,800 sounds, so sit right there, don't move.
Grab a drink.
I like this sound here. Voice Heaven, appropriate for worship. Okay, and I want to add a piano with that.
So all we have to do is we'll press the exit button. You see it on the top. Now there's a couple ways we can do this, but probably the easiest would be to press the dual button right here. Great. And now we'll cursor to that other part.
And then I assume press piano.
Press piano and try that.
You know what? I want to change that voice to a different, now that I'm hearing the piano.
Yeah.
How would I do that?
Very easy. Like we chose the last pad, we just press the enter button because that's highlighted on that part. And now we get all the pianos. Now, one thing I want, before you choose, want to let you know, on parts 1 and 2, the upper and the lower, you can adjust the volumes of those. So maybe you want to make that piano being the more primary sound, and then you can bring in that pad to taste. So I'm going to turn down the pad here and bring up the piano, and let's get you back in so you can choose a piano with that pad.
Yep, there we go. And I would bring up the pad a little bit more. There we go.
There you go.
Gotcha. And press enter, I'm assuming?
Exit.
Exit.
There you go.
And if I want to go change the voice, I would go do that and then press enter.
Yes.
Gotcha. Very easy. Now, let's say I like that one. Let's say I like that, I want to save that. How would I save it?
So very easy. All we have to do is press the right button. Just press that button right there. Now, a great thing on the Roland keyboards, you're never going to erase a preset sound. Good. So it's always going to go to a user. So remember that. Don't be afraid to kind of have fun with it and do that. So I press the right button, and now I'll just cursor over to scene right, because remember, a scene is all 8 parts. You can have them in there. So a scene can have 1 part up to 8 parts, and 7 of those parts can be layered. So now I would press the enter button, and then I would name it whatever we want. Let's just call this Epic Pad 2 or something like that, just real fast.
Okay.
Okay. And now I would go ahead and say, press the enter button, and then it's going to ask me, where do you want to have it? So I can put it in any of these users. I already have some users here that I've included, but let's go ahead and just put it right here on number 30 and press enter. And
am I sure?
You're sure? Roland always asks you. Yep. And
user scene 30. Now, let me ask you a question. This is a tough one. Turn the keyboard off and turn it back on. How do I find that keyboard?
That's a good question. So you know those will be in your users, but you might want to find favorites. We have a favorite section in here. So what will happen is we have various banks in here. So I can switch different banks of favorites, and each bank will have up to 16. So I have 8 banks of 16.
That's a lot.
So on that first bank, we already have some favorites here for you. I already have some favorites there. So if I press favorite, if none of the blanks are blinking, they say there's nothing available there. But, but you can always overwrite. So in our example, let's go ahead and choose bank 4. Change it to bank 4. And now if I press and hold favorites, it says, hey, you have all of these spots available. Now, let's go ahead and put this 2 there.
Okay, so hold favorites is blinking. I'm going to pick bank 1 or bank 4, sound 1 right there.
Yep. And now that sound is there, right there for you. So there it is there.
That's nice that it lights up so that when you go to the favorites, you can see what has already been stored so that you won't forget it, which is good. Okay, so you know, I like guitars.
Yeah.
I like to add a piano and the guitar and a pad. So, and I like to switch between them from time to time, depending on the mood of the service. How would I do that?
Well, great. First off, let's get out of favorites for a second, and we're going to go ahead and find a guitar.
Okay.
So.
I like that.
So good. And you said you wanted to maybe put a piano or something with it?
Matter of fact, I would like to add strings.
String. Perfect. So a couple different ways. Like I said, we could press dual or we can unselect it and we can go to a multi-part. And so if we wanted to put more things. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to cursor down and we're going to just choose a string right here. Try that.
I like that.
And now I'm going to put them together.
Yep.
So I just hit that. Now they're together.
I like that.
And that sounds great with 2, but I've put it in multi-part so that way we can have up to 7. Let's add one more in here.
Let's add that pad.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to. Try a pad. And I'll add them together. Everybody play together.
I like that.
So let's go ahead and save that.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and save it. I'm going to go ahead and press the right button. Scene right.
Scene right. Studio still.
And, you know, we can use these buttons down here to erase over here. I'm going to go ahead and maybe insert. And I'm going to call this, you know, Ed Studio Still.
There you go.
Because that's for you, that's for me. So we're covered. We're covered. So I'm going to insert. We're good to go. And what does this say? Enter.
Yep.
For next. And I'm going to put it in a different spot. We had that 30 where we had the other one. And I could put it sequential with it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put it on 20 just because.
Okay.
All right. So great.
So Ed, let's say I wanted to have this set with 3 sounds and I want to go back to just the guitar by itself. How would I do that?
Great. So first off, before we do that, we went ahead and we saved that scene. That's cool. And remember earlier, we went ahead and we created a favorite. I'd probably put it in favorites because that's probably what you're going to do in that live situation.
That makes sense. Let's put it in the favorites.
So
first.
I'm going to press and hold favorites, and we're still in, I think, bank 4.
Yep.
And we have all this available. I'm going to put it on 4 just because, just so they're not next to each other. So now we have favorites is on. Here's that guitar. And here is that one. Now watch this. If you press and hold the keys, we can live switch without losing sound. So go ahead and
hold the sound. Okay.
And then switch.
Oh, that's nice. It didn't pop.
There was no pop in the effects. We can do that. But really let it hold out and now switch. So as you know, at different parts in the service, you might have to hold down a very nice chord and let it ring out and switch to something else. And we don't want that or any kind of pop in the sound.
Correct.
So we can have that smooth transition, that nice switching between there without having that.
All right, so we're back here. So now I want to just have the steel guitar by itself and from this patch. How do I turn the other 2 off?
Okay, so we're having in the multi-part mode. Now what I had here is we were telling the scene that this was the main person we want to have in there. But if I want to now, I can press Shift and hit 1 because that's where the guitar guy is, and hit it again, and now it's only that guitar guy.
Oh yeah.
And then at any time I can say, I want these guys to come in. I'll have to hit that again, and now they'll come in.
Okay.
So
hit the green.
And then bring it back down, hit the green again, and it turns those parts off.
I like that. So that's cool. At least I know that if I press this green button, it alternates between my stack and my single.
Yes.
That's a big one for the church market. Let's go explore some other sounds. Let's go to, say, a piano.
Great. So if I just get out of favorites, and remember earlier we were saying we can just go up to the top and we can just kind of find. So I might start off in the piano scenes, and then I will cursor down to the piano tones and press the enter button, and now we can search through the different pianos. So we have a whole range here, and if we use our cursor, we cursor through the subcategories of that piano. Little reverse. Little JD 800 piano. Now, Ed, let me show you this sound. One of the sounds I really love, and I'm gonna exit, I really love some of the electric piano, more modern electric pianos.
I hear this song.
Once again, if I wanted to add another sound, press the dual button. I can adjust the volume, the balance between the two. So I'll go the lower, which is the string, and I'll bring it up to taste. So very quickly, I can start off with a single tone within that scene, and I can have another tone right under it just by pressing the dual button. And it also, if at any time I'm like, you know what, I want to dig deeper and add maybe some pads or some other things, I would just unselect this, so none of them are selected, and now I'm in multi-pad mode. So now I can cursor down and I can say, all right, let's go ahead and put that pad, or let's go ahead and put maybe a choir. And so then I can go back up here and I can say, when I hit that green button, I can kick in the whole layer. So just play a little bit and then just hit that green button, it'll kick in everybody else. And then if you wanted to, another part of the song, we can go ahead and turn that off, and we're back to the single. So in the chorus, kick it on. Now we bring it up, bring it down. It's just that easy.
That's good.
You know, actually, I wanted to show you something for the house of worship that I really love. So Roland's always had really good brass in here. And if I go into, I'll go ahead and just pick a user that's a free user so we can kind of just have some fun. I might go into my brass here, and here's one. You can try that one.
Oh yeah.
And there's a bunch of one. But here's something that I like to do. This is a special thing I like to do for the house of worship. I know sometimes on some of the songs you might have some accents and you need that brass to kind of punch right in there. So I'm going to show you guys really quick how to program that real quick, and we could actually save it. Check this out. So I might start off, I'm going to go back to a user. We're going to just make this and save it. I'll pick a nice electric piano. Not really concerned with that, but then I'll go ahead and pick maybe a brass in here, and I'll pop open. Once again, over 3,800 sounds, so you have a lot to choose from here, and maybe I'll just stick with that attack brass. Okay, so we have them. Have them right here. We can have them dual layered if we wanted to. Okay, so that's fine. Now I'm going to show you how to make it so where that brass only kicks in when you hit the keys at a certain volume, a certain velocity.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so this is something that I've always really liked, that when you have to really kick it up a notch in church.
Hold a second. Back in the day, before you were born, Roland had a JV series, JV 1080, 2080, 3080, 5080, and there was this patch that we used in the church. It was called brass, bass, piano, bass, brass, patch 13, I think it was.
In the XPs and the JVs, it was 13.
We couldn't have church without that sound.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So this is going to relate it to that, and someone like with Ed's knowledge and history, he can we can recreate it if we want to. So check it out. I'm gonna come into here and I have them layered, but maybe I want that brass only to kick in when I hit the keys at a certain velocity.
Right.
So very easily, I will go into menu, and this is a little bit of programming, but nothing too bad. Once you do it, you understand it, and now it's a lot of fun. So I'm gonna go into the scene edit, and I'm gonna go into the part, and I'm gonna go to velocity, and I'm gonna adjust it to maybe, let's try here. Let's give it a little test right here. Play regular. So I'll put it at the 100. That's cool. And so now when Ed plays, he can play regular. So that's cool, kind of old school what we were talking about. So I know a lot of our house of worship musicians really enjoy that. You can be playing a really nice electric piano, maybe something layered with a pad, and then when it's time to hit that accent, pow, you can just hit it right in there.
Hey, Eddie, transpose. Some people can't play in all 12 keys. You know?
That's me.
I can barely do it. I can do it. I can barely do it. How do you transpose easily? I'm assuming now that I'm looking at it, because when I first got the keyboard, they just kind of dumped it on me and said, hey, go and do this video.
Welcome to my world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what they did, 2 eds. So I'm assuming that you just now press transpose and hit the little plus or minus.
Yeah.
Which is easy, because I didn't know how to do that.
I'm going to just go to like a piano scene.
Okay.
So now you're in there.
And just plus minus. That's perfect. And if you let it go, the light lets you know that, hey, you did something, and come right back and just hit back to 0. Okay, very good. So we're talking about power. A lot of people frown upon the wall warts.
Yeah.
And I always suggest that they buy an extra when they're taking out through their gigs. A lot of gigging musicians, you play for multiple churches. You got to make a living.
Absolutely.
And so you take your keyboard, you run to the next service, and all of a sudden you're like, uh-oh, I left the power supply, or my dog ate it, which dogs like power cables.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
They do.
So you've got a secret about Roland, this new product, and he's going to unleash the secret. Don't tell anyone. Let them know. It's a secret.
So on the previous Rolands, we would have, AA batteries, I think like 6 to 8 AA batteries, and they last for 4 to 5 hours. But Roland is very environmentally conscious. And so what we have now is we will use a USB-C power supply, little power brick. And it's USB-C. USB-As won't have the power required, but USB-C will. So very easy to do. And this is a V-mount battery. I'm sure you'll have some different recommendations, but this is a camera V-mount battery. So I'll just grab my USB-C cable, and I'm going to show you something else just really cool about this. I'll plug into the USB-C right here. That's good to go. And then I'm going to plug it in here. Now watch this. I'm going to plug it in to the computer. And Ed's playing. Go ahead and play like let's do like a pad. Just hold some nice pads. So Ed's playing. We're using the DC power, but watch this. Keep playing it.
Oh, wow.
I just unplugged the DC power, and we're still good to go. So if you forget it, or the generator dies, or something, you're good. Now I'm gonna just plug it right back in. And we're still good. Now, just to prove that that wasn't some camera foolery, I'm gonna unplug again. We're gone. And I'm gonna unplug here. Watch what happens. Turned off. So now I'm gonna plug it back in. Give it a second to turn it back on. Let's turn it on now. And just so you can see, I haven't plugged in the DC power. And now go ahead and play.
And this was the 88 note, guys.
Yeah, we're powering the 88 note. And you bring up a good point right there. Other than the keys, what are the differences between the 61, 76, and 88? Nothing. It's only the keys. So if your budget will only allow for a 61 or 76, or you can go to an 88, you lose nothing. It's like I've always said for years, it's the same car, just different tires. That's all it is, so you're good to go. 61 and 76 are my favorite if weight's an issue, but if you want to have a really good piano action feel, the Juno D 88 is a choice. And once again, I can power all of these with a regular V-mount USB-C battery.
I like that. I like that. So far we've gone over different presets. We've gone over layers. We've gone over switching layers. We've gone over favorites, which is a big deal in the churches because a lot of times churches have multiple keyboard players, and you don't want John to start playing, then get off, and then the choir comes and Sally's up, and she doesn't have a clue because some people are transitioning from acoustics to electronics, and that's a big deal in certain church markets that they just, some of them really fight it, but they have to keep up with the technology.
Absolutely.
And so this is a safe place for those people that are a little hesitant about electronics because one, the minute you turn it on, it defaults to a piano.
Yeah.
Piano, period. And then you have a silk screen here so you can see the different sounds that you can just pick from, electric piano, organs, guitars. And what I liked was that when I first opened it up, I just picked a few patches and Roland smartly put like the best of first. So church guys, that's the sound. So you don't have to think. I was in a church service yesterday, and I don't know what caused it, but my hands started to sweat, and I'm like, why am I nervous? Oh, there was a lot of people in the church, and there was cameras on me, and I said, and I didn't want to fumble. So fortunately, I had a safe keyboard, and I just said, dummy, don't change a thing. But sometimes you may want to do something, like here, guitar. Then you want to switch to piano. Then if I want to go to strings.
Yep. Now, Ed,
yes, sir.
Let me go back. You mentioned a couple of key things I wanted to just cover real quick. You mentioned sweaty. Well, check it out. We actually have a nice texture on the keys.
That's true.
Like a nice wooden grain. So help you grip a little bit better.
This is better than the keyboard I was playing yesterday.
Yeah, so,
I'm not mentioning their names.
Yeah, that's not a problem. And you know, so we actually have a nice grain feel, and you can have more of a tactile feel in the action here. And so we were also talking about technology. Well, this is incredible keyboard for that because, as we know, a lot of churches will also use Apple MainStage.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm a proponent of I love hardware keyboards, but also, like you were saying, we have to evolve and be able to use software synthesizers and different things of that nature. And MainStage is a main stage.
Yeah. Big.
The main stage in some of the house of worship market situations. Now, that's cool. Now, remember we were showing how we use that USB-C for power?
Yes.
Well, the USB-C, the Juno D, is also USB audio compliant. So that means you just plug it into the computer and it works. It shows up. So you can use it for main stage that way.
No drivers.
No drivers needed. Now we do have drivers available. So, and when you install the Roland drivers, you have different sample rates that you can do of the keyboard going into your computer. But the USB just works immediately in there. Now that also being said, and we're not going to show it in today's video. We don't have time. But it could be a whole other video. But you can save different patch locations of main stage in the particular scenes.
Oh, wow.
In the Juno D. So you can save that MIDI information in the Juno D. So when you go to a specific scene, it'll change main stage for you.
Wow.
That's cool.
That's
now,
big.
I also mentioned main stage and the Juno D and how well they work together. But also, we were mentioning about power. Well, power also for your computer. Let's say you're doing the gig, you're doing this service with main stage, just a laptop and a controller. You get the blue screen of death on the computer, or you forgot your power supply, or you got the power supply, but you forgot the cable to hook it up. Well, you still have over 3,800 sounds ready to go, and you can still do the service. Because there's nothing worse to just have a controller, solely a controller, no sounds, and something goes wrong.
Right.
Because music director, they don't care. What's
right.
Well, make it work.
Right.
Work,
Right.
So that's another great thing that I really push for the Juno Ds. And I consider the Juno Ds as the working man's keyboard.
Yep.
I'm here to do some work. I can do it with the keyboard. I can play with the computers. I can record audio and MIDI into the computers, all with the USB-C and the Juno D.
And I also like the way it's moderately priced. A lot of times to get a keyboard of this quality, you would have to search the used market.
Oh yeah.
So you can get a brand new keyboard that does more than some of those older keyboards.
Oh man.
For less than money. And I really enjoy that for the customers because I really love helping people. Everyone's at a different price point. Their pockets, the minute they come to the store, their pockets are talking a lot of times louder than them. They're saying, I want this brand. And their wallet said, yeah, right. You got jokes. So this keyboard is a great addition financially in the Roland chain of things. I noticed also you have some editing features here.
Yes, we've covered a lot, but there's a lot we haven't covered. That's what's fun about this particular keyboard. We're discovering more and more. So right on the top, we hit to see the sound modify knobs. Now, right off the bat, they're set for cutoff, resonance, attack, and release, more synthesizer-oriented things. But you can go ahead and assign them to whatever you want, a lot of different parameters within the Juno D, and it saves to the scene. So I could have one scene that's more synth-oriented parameters, maybe another scene where it'll turn up the USB audio louder or softer right from here. I can have a lot of different parameters and they save to the scene. Now, if we look to these sliders, upper is part 1, lower is part 2. Phrase pad is this whole section we haven't even really talked about that much. Okay, there's a lot going on here as well. So we have volume control for that. And then also we have a mic control. We haven't even talked about that. On the Juno D, the 6, the 7, and the 8, we have a combi jack in the back for microphone that you can use a 1/4-inch mic or XLR. So you can go ahead and use that for just regular microphone singing along. It has a voice transformer, it has a vocoder in there, and they're actually very good. The vocoder, Roland's vocoders are actually usable. There's a lot of vocoders out there, but a lot of them are more noise than anything. Ours are actually usable, and so you can use your favorite dynamic microphone. Just as a FYI, the Juno D does not support phantom power, although the Phantom does.
Right.
The Juno D doesn't, but most mics you're going to use in a live situation are dynamic bass, and Ed will have a lot of great recommendations for you that way. Also, we have 2 pedal ports on the back for hold and control, but the hold can also be set for a different control as well, and those ports assignment will change according to the scene as well. So a lot more. You already saw us talking about the USB, the USB-C port, but also we have a USB-A. So you can back up your Juno D. Maybe your congregation, you have a Juno D for the musical director and one that's at this church or in a different spot in the church. You can go ahead and back up that Juno D and load it into the other Juno Ds for travel or for safety. If there's a lot of people using your keyboard, you can back up your stuff because I don't want to have to hurt somebody.
Let's talk about these nice, pretty blue buttons here.
Absolutely.
They catch my eye. Show me some examples or tell us what we were using them earlier for the scene switching in the layers, but they do more than just that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually have a sequencer section. Now it's a 64-step sequencer. So it's not a full sequencer like in the Phantom or Phantom O, but 64 steps allows you to kind of lay down your ideas. Okay, so I have something set here. If I wanted to sequence, all I do is press the sequence button, and we have a nice mixer screen. Now, all you have to do is press record, and I have a linear bass sequencer. Now remember, it is 64 steps, so that's equivalent to about 4 measures, just to kind of get your idea down. Now, if I want, I can also press and hold Shift and hit record again, and I get a step sequencer, like a TR rec bass sequencer. So I can come into here, hit the drums, and now I can go ahead just on my, like on my TR rec, press play, make adjustments. Cool. Maybe go ahead and hit a hi-hat. Maybe hit a snare. That quickly, I have it in more of the step sequencer. I can go ahead and get back out of there, and maybe I come back over here and maybe do a real-time sequence. So same thing. Have it ready, set to go. And here we go. And I can go ahead and record up to 8 parts, 7 synth-oriented parts, and the 8th being the drum. So that's something fun we can do in there, just to get your chops down. And I used to use this a lot of times, and this would be good for a lot of you out there. Just maybe you have to do that 4-section break, and you want to have the changes down, you want to practice soloing. That's a great thing for that.
Okay.
Right there.
It's got a rhythm button there too.
Let's check out the rhythm. I press the rhythm button, and we have different rhythms we can choose from. You see it says intro, verse 1, verse 2, so on and so forth. So I can just go ahead and hit the pads here. And you see, I can control the volume of there. And if we go in further, we can also pop into here, and we see we have different, a whole bunch of rhythms in here that we can choose, and we can choose any kit that we want to use for them. You don't have to use the one that's suggested. You can change it to another one.
That's good, because there are a lot of churches that are not blessed with a full band. And so a lot of churches don't have a drummer.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't have a drummer. And sometimes, like I'm playing guitar because my church doesn't have a guitar player. And I'm kind of glad we don't, because I like to do that.
Yeah.
And it's a little surprise for the church. So that they're not expecting that.
Yep.
And I did that yesterday. And you could hear them go, ooh, like that. And say, oh, I'm doing something good. Don't hit a bad note.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the rhythm section is good for, it's not a full drum machine, but it's a good enough, like for church service.
There we go.
Yeah.
And don't forget, we could have shown how we could take that electric piano and put a bass down there, so you could really cover it with just that.
Now that's the more, I'm going to say, skilled guys that can split brain, left hand. In my church, I grew up, we didn't have a bass player. We barely had a drummer. Sometimes I was a drummer, but when I finally learned how to play, we didn't have anyone. It was just me and a drummer. And so my left hand now is pretty good, but it was tough.
Well, check it out. I made a scene in here where I used chord memory. We haven't talked about chord memory. There's so much to this guy. Yeah. So I put a layer of electric piano and like a pad here, and those will react to chord memory, but I also put a bass that doesn't react, but it's also layered there, and I have it this octave. So if you play C, like C minor, and then here's the lead.
That's hot though. I like that.
That is cool for, say, like you're a small congregation or it's just a smaller service, and that keyboard player has to kind of cover it all. They can kind of fake it. What is it? Fake it before you make
Fake it before you make it, baby.
So I can have the bass going with some chords. And you can kind of fake it, make it, and you have it all going all within there. And at the same time, we don't have a mic hooked up, but we can have the mic going simultaneously and control that volume here. So
that's pretty cool because, again, some churches are small and they don't have a lot of resources. So you can plug a mic up here. And so the worship leader could be playing keys and you can have a dry signal. And then if you want some more contemporary, more advanced churches that's going to lead into more vocoder stuff, we can add, let's play around with the vocoder. Let's hear some stuff.
And boom, magically we have the vocoder here. So technology, camera magic. So what we did here, we went ahead and got an XLR cable right into the XLR input of the Juno D, adjusted the gain, and I have one of my favorite mics that I'm using that Ed actually sells here. So he gets you the exact setup. And I have control of my mic right here. So you may understand what I'm saying. This is the Roland Juno D. So you get the point. It's actually a very good vocoder that you can use in here. We don't have to use a vocoder. We can just use it as a regular mic, and it can have its own effects, some different reverbs, and we can control them right through this point right through this slider, and have a nice mix of everything right there on the go. Now this also brings up, let me turn this down, this also brings up this audio button right here. Okay, so if I have some audio, some WAV files loaded up into my USB thumb drive and ported here, I can have up to 8 different songs for the pad. It's only 8? Actually, no, you can create different folders and each one can have up to 8 different audio files in there. And then that way you can kind of jump around. You can choose what song list, what folder is named, and you can do them live. So we were talking about the churches with maybe don't have the big budget. So that keyboard person can have maybe some backing tracks here that they can kick on. And those backing tracks, you can control the volume of those backing tracks, the volume of your mic, and it's also your keyboard all in one spot. So that's
really, so it's saved on the thumb drive, so you don't have to be dependent on the computer.
Yeah.
A lot of people are still terrified of the things that can happen to a laptop. It can fall. Again, the biggest one is you forgot your power supply.
Yeah.
And so put it on the thumb drive and you can just have access here. And I see all the screen. You can just load up the backing tracks. There's some loops. There's these shouting loops. They're a big deal now. A lot of Pentecostal churches where they want to do those loops. And if you can't, tap it out with your finger, put it on the thumb drive, put it here, and now you can just accent it and turn it on whenever you need it.
Yep. And then also, what if you don't have a thumb drive and you're like, well, can I use my phone? Yes.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Right. But wait, there's more. There's more. There's so much. So we can do any phone, and we have an external input port on the back. It's an 1/8 inch stereo, so you can use any phone as long as you have that connection. But also on some of the newer phones that do USB-C, you could just plug in USB-C. Right? You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So USB-C right there into your phone, and automatically you can play your backing track there.
iPhone 14 and up.
That's right.
Droid, anything just USB-C. Droid people are happy now because a lot of times everything was Apple dependent or focused, and this is universally or unilaterally equal. So that's beautiful. Yeah. We have regular MIDI for some churches. Some guys have their racks, their original traditional racks, so you can plug up original MIDI to it.
So let me I love talking about this stuff, and I'm probably going too deep, but I'm not going to go all the way deep. But this is the MIDI, like how we're talking how the Juno D can change patches in main stage. Well, say you're using other MIDI keyboards. It doesn't matter the brand or the model. So maybe pastor's wife is coming up to play on whatever that 4-letter keyboard or whatever, and the sounds is not what it is. You can go ahead, the Juno D can tell that patch where to be when you change scenes so it's on the exact sound. So you can control other MIDI keyboards. So some of my keyboard players out there in the house of worship, you're not just playing one keyboard, you have a nice little rig. You can actually control your rig with the Juno D. Like I think, I don't know if I've already said it, to me, I consider this the working man's synthesizer. You can do a lot of fun music stuff with this one. And so don't sleep on MIDI. I know it's over 30 years old, but she got some tricks.
Right. And also, you can have a secondary keyboard on it, because this is multi-timbral, 7 parts.
Oh man, yeah.
So imagine having another keyboard here, MIDI out on channel 2, controlling another sound. So some guys are very ambidextrous, so they can do different things, or you want to have different setups.
Oh yeah.
So technically, if you had a MIDI chain, you can have 7 keyboards set up.
Well, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and
plus this was 7.
So
yeah,
7.
So imagine the expandability that was unthought of.
Yeah, and I think back in the day, guys like Ed Spence and I, we had to think about this because budget was an issue. So that could be a really good thing. You could have the piano in the 88, but the other MIDI keyboard could be feeding off of the Zencore sound engine on a specific MIDI channel. So that's, I know we're getting kind of deep in there, but I really encourage a lot of you keyboard players out there to kind of do a little bit of a research, and you're going to be shocked at how much you can get out of the keyboard. And at that, when you start thinking of it like that, it's an excellent value.
So I think we've completely dissected this keyboard and went over all the major things that a church or a performer would need, like a workman's keyboard. It's lightweight, it's inexpensive, it has incredible sounds, it feels great, it's expandable. You can, the storage is there. The battery, USB power. I think Roland checked all the boxes for today's musician, and I didn't want to keep you all night because we said we were going to go over all 3,800 sounds, but we were just having fun. But I just want to thank you for your attention, for your time. It means a lot to me. You guys who know me personally know that I will not waste your time, and I got the #1 guy in the world, Chuck Levin's largest keyboard department in the US, and I smell tremendously good.
It's true, facts. Thank you, everybody. Everybody take care.